Oh, it did? Alright.
So, basically, ways to look at a group of numbers. And Mr. Ryder's right, even though he cheated. The mean, the median, the mode, and sometimes the what?
Range?
The range. So again, this might show up on like Iowa assessments or those kind of tests, ACTs, when you decide to take those. They would use central tendency instead of saying mean, median, or mode all the time. So, number one is the mean. What's the mean?
Average.
The average. So, how do I find the average of a set?
You gotta
Add them all up and then divide them by how many there are.
How many numbers are in the problem?
Sum of all numbers in the set divided by the total number of numbers. Exactly right. So is the mean useful?
Yeah.
Usually, right? And where would we maybe use the mean?
For like sports stats?
Okay, maybe sports stats. Good one. What else? We could use the mean with grades, right? What is my average grade or the mean of the last test or the last quiz, right? We could do that. So a lot of times the mean is very helpful, but when would the mean be very helpful? If what would happen with my set? What would have to happen in my set or be a part of my set that would screw up my mean? If we're talking about the grades in class on the last quiz, what percentage would screw up the mean? Okay, maybe a fraction. A zero would, right? So compared to everything else, we would have one number that's either really, really high or really, really low compared to the rest of the people. So if somebody actually got a 0 on the quiz, that would screw up the mean, right? Or if everybody else got a C or a D on it and somebody else got 100, okay, maybe that screwed up the mean. All right, so we'll talk about what that number is called a little bit later. What's the median?
Median number.
Isn't that when you take the biggest number?
The what?
The median number.
Yeah.
This is the number in the middle of the set. So what's the most important thing that you have to do in the median?
You gotta add, no.
If it's the middle of the set, I have to make sure what? What? Exactly right. So you gotta list the numbers in order. Now, does it matter if I go big to small or small to big?
No.
No. Okay. So here, when you list your numbers in order, if you have an odd number set, so at the very beginning, if you're the set of numbers in your set, there's an odd number of them, you have one specific median. Bless you. So I start counting them off or crossing them off, and I get to the middle, and I have that number right in the middle. But I have to make sure that it's in order. But if I have an even number set, what happens?
You find the two numbers in the middle and add them together and divide by 2.
Perfect. So you end up with, you're going to have two medians, two middle numbers. So essentially, we're going to take the average of those. Or, as Trevor said, add them up and divide by 2. So how about the median? Is the median distorted sometimes? Again, if I have an outlier, does it really matter? Maybe not, but if in the other class they said, well, what happens if I have a bunch of the same number? Maybe that screws up my median. It could. Or if I have one of those numbers way at the one end of the spectrum or the other, it could screw up the median in a sense, but it's still one of the numbers. So that doesn't really affect it as much as the mean. And then what's my mode?
You're going to take the biggest number and the smallest number in range.
That's the range.
Oh.
What's the mode? Mode means most common number in the set. So here's a question. Can I have more than one mode? Can I? When?
Oh. Well, you have to have.
So I can have multiple modes if two numbers tie. So if I was talking about the grades in class again, and we listed everybody's grade, and Brady got 100 and Caden got 100, okay? And then Big Mike unfortunately got a 96 instead, and Kenzie got a 96. They both had 2, right? So we could have multiple modes. So here's the question. I can have multiple modes. Can I have no mode?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. How do I have no mode?
There's no common number.
There's none, right? Everything's maybe listed one time. Even in the instance where my set has, let's just say, 7 numbers in it, and all 7 numbers happen twice. Instead of listing all 7 of those numbers, sometimes they just say there's no mode. Everything tied. Okay? So in this one, I can have multiple modes, I can have one mode, or I can have no mode. Make sense? And then the range, I don't think they talk about the range a whole lot, but this is what Trevor said too. So when I list all my numbers in my median, I would look at what for the range? What were you going to say?
Biggest number and smallest number.
And do what with them?
Subtract them.
Yeah. So the range is just the difference of the biggest and smallest numbers in the set. And I don't think this book really goes into that. But again, that would be something that might end up on your ACTs or something. So here's my example. 14, 11, 8, 12, 14, 10, and 8. Now remember, if you see the numbers put inside those little parentheses, that just means that those are my set of numbers. Don't get freaked out if you see those parentheses. So again now, if I'm going to do each one of these, the mean, I don't necessarily have to put those in order, right? For the mean. But sooner or later I have to, so if this is what's given to me in the book, when I write it on my piece of paper, I'm going to go through and I'm going to put them in order right away. Because I know in the back of my mind, I have to do that sometime or another anyway. So, when I'm doing this though, you just got to make sure that you end up with the same number of numbers in your set that were in the original set. So just make sure that you copy the numbers down right. So at the beginning I had 2, 4, 6, 7. I should have 7 in my other one too. And again, maybe I just tell myself that because, again, I know that I need the total number of the numbers in my set to figure out the mean anyway. So, what did you come up with for the mean? add them together and divide by what?
7.
7. So, first we need a total, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 72, 76, 77.
Yep.
And what are we dividing by?
7.
7, so what's my mean?
11.
11. Does that number kind of
Yeah.
show my set pretty well? Yeah, so that's a pretty good one. How about the median? So what's the median again? The middle number. So I start crossing them off one at a time or two at a time. And what's my median?
12. 11, guys. Come on.
How about 11?
Yeah.
Right.
It's 11. Oh.
And then the mode.
It'd be 14 and
8 and 14. So again, will it always happen that the mean and the median are the same thing?
8. No.
Heck no, right? And sometimes we really emphasize not to ever use decimals in your answers, but this is one instance that decimals are okay, especially for the mean, possibly for the median. If you had 2 in the middle and you had to take the average or divide them, then you could have another decimal answer. All right? So we'll start right here tomorrow. Pick it up tomorrow. Or no.